Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar for sellers. Today we're going to be reviewing the new features in the platform that we will have out to you next week. Hopefully we've just got the last few bits of testing to do and then we should have those with you. So on the agenda today, we're going to cover the following. We're going to look at the new enhanced screens. So how we've taken on board feedback from buyers and sellers and applied that to a better use of the screen space. We've also set up some quick views to allow you to easily see your past transactions, transactions for the current week and all due transactions. So there's 3 different views available to you. Once we do the new release, that will allow you to flip between those 3 views really easily and see what we would take as your most useful and applied data. We've also changed some of the column names and added a couple more, so you've got a clearer view of where things are in the settlement process and what they mean. And we've also added a new companies page, which allows you to look up partners or potential partners and see their status within the platform. So I'll be going through and showing you those things. We're also going to talk about credit terms. If some of you joined our previous roadmap webinars, this may be familiar to you, but we're going to talk about how you can set up and implement credit terms that are different from the standard setup in the platform with your partners. There's a couple of ways of doing that, so we'll be going through that with you. And lastly, we're going to cover some other improvements that are coming soon. So some additional notifications in the platform to help you understand where you are on a week-by-week basis. A summary bank reconciliation view. Something that comes up a lot is a credits and debits position at the start of a settlement. So we'll be going through our plans to improve that for you. And we'll also look at the enhanced file formats as well that we're offering in the platform shortly.
I was just wondering, Michaela, sorry, we just to let everyone know, our demo environment is just needing a little bit of emergency work right now. So we're trying to get that up and running. We have some screenshots we can show you, but I would rather wait until that's resolved. So I'm going to change the order of what we're going to talk through. I think the new enhanced screens are obviously super important. And as Michaela said, lots of the feedback is some people find it very difficult to see, what's happening this week and what's happened in the past. So we'll demonstrate that to you in a minute. If we could just switch to maybe just talking about the other improvements coming soon for now.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll switch the order back to actually showing the screens once I've got that up and running.
Great. Okay. So let's go to the credit terms in that case and what that means for you all. So what we're offering you is the ability to customize your credit terms on a partner by partner basis. So at the moment, when you upload transactions into Travel Ledger, they are automatically placed into the next available settlement. Whereas if we allow you to implement credit terms for you and you can customize those, that allows you to set them for your partners individually. So some partners you may be happy with how things are at the moment. Others you might have, say, 30-day credit terms where you want to allow the platform to recognize those. So when you upload transactions, it could apply the 30 days to them. So there's a couple of ways we'll be able to offer that to you in the platform. One is by feeding a due date into the file upload. So in the file you submit to Travel Ledger, you'll be able to put in a due date that reflects, say, a 30-day credit term. So it will then provide that to the platform and the platform will recognize that it shouldn't enter a settlement until 30 days later. We can also configure that within Travel Ledger, which I hope to be able to show you if we can get our demo environment live. But as part of your commercial
up and running, Michaela, just so you know, good news.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Yeah. So as part of your commercial link setup, you can actually apply a due date override. So what I'll do is I will show you that now, since we've got it back. Yay. Okay, so here we are, we're in the platform. So as I mentioned, you can apply a due date override within Travel Ledger as well. So it doesn't have to be through a file submission. You could tailor that to your partners within the platform. So you'll see here, we've got our partners menu, and we've got commercial links. If you head to commercial links and select the commercial link with a partner that you wish to tailor credit terms for, so let's say here I'll choose this Michaela's demo one, you'll see at the bottom you've now got the option to edit due date override. So when I click on that, you'll see I'm able to add in a specific credit term that's applicable to this company. So I would be able to type 30 days into here and save that. It's important to note that that's a one-off action that you take. So if you want to set up these terms for this particular company, so Michaela's demo, you just have to input this once, and then unless you change it again, every time you load a file, it will apply those rules to that particular customer.
Okay, just to add a couple of things on that.
Yeah.
I know this is a new feature, and we'll follow up with more information on this, or if you want to talk to us, we can jump on a call and talk it through with you. The new transaction views, which Michaela will show in a minute, will also nicely tie into the credit terms. So if you have set something to effectively collect or settle in 30 days time, it won't immediately be visible to the user if they're only looking at what they have to look at this week. If they so wish to see what is up and coming, they could change their view and see anything that is on an extended credit term. So we've catered for that, and we will demonstrate that when we jump to that section in a minute, just to show you how that ties in.
Yeah. And as Simon just mentioned, if it is something that you want to use, and with it being a new feature, it'd be great if you could get in touch with us to discuss using it. I think there's a couple of things with this that are different. So an example is your data is only included at the time of collection submission when it comes to your reconciliation file. So you wouldn't see the transactions until they hit those 30 days and are processed as part of a collection. So it's slightly different from, you know, how things are behaving right now. So if you get in touch with us to discuss using the feature, we can work with you to set it up to best suit your needs and your requirements in terms of how it works and how the reporting works for you as well. Okay, so should we go back to the demo, Simon, now? Are we happy to do that?
Yeah, please, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So we'll go back to the new enhanced screens now. So what we have ready for you in terms of improvements. So let's go back into the platform, and I will start off by going through the better use of screen space. So what we've changed in that aspect. I think it should be fairly obvious to most of you that this looks a little bit different than it does in the live environment to you now. So you'll notice at the top, we no longer have a header taking up lots of space. We've reduced the amount of space that lots of headers and labelling and taking up to really focus on what's important and what's important to you, which is the transactions that are actually in the grid. So just to go through the other things as well, with no header now, we've also reduced the size of the menu here. So your main menu on the left hand side, you'll see that's now permanently pinned out as available to you. Before that would sort of reduce in and out depending on whether you clicked on it or not, and it had lots of little icons down the side. We've actually removed the icons to save some space, and in order for you to see what area of the platform you're in, because we've removed the headers at the top that would say label the transactions area, we've applied a highlight to the menu to just reference where you are in the platform. So you can see here we're in transactions, that's highlighted in the menu, and then saving space on this side, that's not visible to you here, and you've got lots more room for your grid. Another thing we've also changed is the sizing of really everything in the view. So the font sizing and just your overall view. We've tailored this. So there's some automatic and default resizing to suit your computer. So to suit whatever device you're using. So, be that a laptop, or you log in on in an office and you've got a bigger screen, the system understands to resize itself so you can see much more within your grids. I know before some of you, and like me, I'm also a laptop user working from home, you'll find that you would having to scroll a lot left and right to see all the columns, and you're also having to scroll up and down to see, say, more than 5 transactions lines. You'll now see, as you can see on my screen, I can see a lot more transactions. I think I can see 15 transactions here, and I've got space for more with my setup. So I'm hoping that's a much needed improvement for you all, and something we've had a lot of feedback on and wanted to take on board. So that's really the better use of screen space that I wanted to cover with you, and there are more aspects of that I will go over within the quick views discussion. So the next thing to present to you is our new quick views. A lot of feedback has come through around viewing your data outside of what is immediately presented to you on screen. So, you're presented with lots of transactions immediately, but perhaps you want to see last week. Some people have fed back that that's a challenge, and that's not something that's easy to find within the platform. So what we've decided to implement are sets of quick views. So these are specific to buyers and sellers. So as sellers, there are 3 quick views available to you. These actually need some changing on the labeling that's currently presented to you, but I will go through what they are. So you'll see here where you used to have sent and received, you've now got quick view, and then you've got a drop down list. So on this drop down list, you've got 3 buyer options and 3 seller options. So as sellers, you'll be looking at the 3 seller options at the bottom. These are seller current, it's labeled as at the moment, but that will be called seller this week. And that shows you everything that is due for review by your buyers in this current calendar week. We've then got seller future. So seller future will be called seller all due. So when you click on this, this will show all transactions that are due for review by your buyers, and be that this week or onwards into, up to onwards and onwards as much as you load. So a good example here would be where Simon mentioned before, you've got your credit terms set up. So if you have applied 30 days credit to a set of bookings for a partner, what you will find is they wouldn't show in the current because they're not due to be reviewed this week. They're due to be reviewed in 30 days. So they would be visible to you in your future configuration. And then the last filter we've got, so the last quick view you can click on, is seller past, and that's going to be called seller past. So what that one shows you is all transactions that have already entered a settlement. So they've been submitted for collection, and 30 days older. So from the last collection and then 30 days back. So those are the 3 views for you. To focus in on these now, if we look at, say, the seller current, where I am now, you'll notice you've got the ability to hide actioned as well. So this is a new addition to the platform as well, particularly useful to buyers, but also useful to sellers. If you just wanted to review what's out there with your buyers this week, and you wanted to say, oh, there's a few here that I can see, there's some that have been reviewed, there's some that haven't. I want to focus in on everything that hasn't been reviewed yet by my buyers, so I can perhaps give them a bit of a prod to go in and accept my bookings for this week. Then you can click on hide actions, and it would hide any bookings that have already been actioned. So in this example here, none of these have been actioned, but if you had action bookings, then that would hide them for you there. Okay. What we've also done as well is we have applied a highlight to show you where we have filters applied as part of these quick views. So each quick view is tailored on a slightly different filter being applied to the view to make sure it's driving the right set of transactions to you in your display. So in order to make that clearer to you where those filters have been applied, and so you can quickly jump to them and amend them where you need, you'll see here that we actually have a colour block over the columns where filters have been applied. So the only filter in seller current is actually on the review end period. So you'll see there's a filter there pointed out to you that there's a colour there pointing out that there's a filter applied here. So that makes it much easier for you to see and target those areas where you may want to make tweaks to your view.
Okay, do you want me to just accept that 59971 and you can see it change?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I'll just do that. Okay. All right, so that's accepted. So you refresh your data.
Yeah. So if I just refresh, and you'll see 59970. Simon's saying he's just gone in and accepted that, so you can see that's accepted. If I click on hide actioned here, you'll now see that disappear from your view. So that's actually saying to you, if you say, I don't want to worry about ones that have been accepted already, it's Wednesday at lunchtime and there's all these transactions that haven't been actioned yet, then you could click on hide action, just see the ones that need attention, and then give those buyers a nudge to go in and have a look at the ones. So it really focuses down onto that information for you. So that's seller current. We've also, as I said, got seller future, which shows now and anything loaded beyond that. And we've got seller past as well. So you can see all the different transactions you've got in the past. So anything that has happened already, has already entered settlement, will be displayed in here. So you can go in and review that. So you'll see we've got the review end filter that's pointed out to you, and it shows everything for the past month. So you can actually go in and say, all right, I've got everything for the past month. I can see the filters on review end. That's where that data is being targeted. I actually only want to look at the collection from the 19th of January. You will be able to go in and say review end 19th of January and focus in there. There's no transactions in that one here, but it gives you the gist of it, and you can clear that as well if you need to. Okay. Another thing to point out with this as well, which came from feedback from everybody as users really, which is great, thank you. We have made some changes to the date-based columns available to you and the labeling of them. So I think you'll see what you have as buyer review end is now called review end. And we've also got here, you've got a payment column, which is a new one. What I'll do is I will show you some of the other ones as well. So you'll see as part of the better use of screen space, within each quick view, we have tailored the columns that are displayed to you. We've had a lot of feedback from users saying, you know, there's just too much information on the screen. There's lots of things that I don't need to see. I can't find what I'm looking for because I'm just overloaded with information and I need to scroll. So we've reduced the amount of information displayed to you dependent on the quick view. So you're just seeing what's useful to you within that view. Now, if you say, I actually would like to see more information, then that's absolutely fine. You can still go into the columns area here and add new columns in, or take anything out that you see as still not particularly useful to you. I'm going to add in 2 columns here, which I'm going to go through with you now, which are collection and payment submission. So 4 columns really to talk about right now where we've made changes. They are review end, collection, payment submission, and payment. So previously we've had buyer review end, and we have had your payment column as well, so payment date. So payment date was previously showing you your actual payment submission date rather than the actual payment bank date. And the old collection date was showing you the collection submission date rather than the date the funds are collected from your bank. So we've tried to make these columns really clear. So now we have review end, which demonstrates the end of the review period for the buyer, and that is also your collection submission time. We've then got a column named collection, which is your bank collection date, so the date the funds are collected from your bank account. We've got the payment submission date, so the date the payment submission happens, and then the actual payment date, which is the bank payment date now. So you've got 4 clear steps. You've got both sets of submission and both sets of bank dates available to you. As I mentioned, they're not available in all quick views as default, but you can go in and you can add them and take them out where you need. Another new feature we've added to help with columns and usefulness is you'll see in some places you've got little information icons. So these need tidying up and fully implementing over the next week. But I've got a couple in here as a demo to you. So you'll see if you've got any questions about, well, what is collection or what is payment, if you're still unsure, or someone asks, is that the bank date, is that the submission date, you'll be able to actually hover over the eye icon and it will give you a little description of those individual columns. So you'll see if I hover over review end, it's the end of the buyer review / the date of collection submission. So it's just some extra information if you're ever unsure on what's useful to you and what's not. That's there for you to use. Okay. Has anybody got any questions on that at the moment? It might be good to take those before we look at other new things to come, and then it's quite clear. If not, if you want to ask any questions throughout, or you would rather submit it through a chat message rather than asking out loud, then feel free to send chat messages. Simon, you're monitoring those, right?
Yeah, I am. I think thanks, Michaela. I think there's a lot of change on the screen, lots of information. Yes. You've just imparted, so may take users to use it and I guess to get familiar with it, and then the questions will come, I'm sure, once we put this out and make it available to everybody. The target to get this out and available is next Thursday, but like any new software changes, it needs thorough testing, and we have been thoroughly testing it. And I want to make 100% sure it's ready to go before we send that out. The target is next Thursday that this will land on everyone's desktops to start using it in the real world. And then I'm sure we'll get some more feedback in terms of what's working well and what's not working well, but hopefully it's mainly on the working well side. And these changes really have been fashioned on all the feedback we've had from the reviews, the supplier review questionnaires we sent out to you, and the buyer review questionnaires, and really hoping that this is welcomed and it hits the mark in terms of getting the right information visible at the right time.
Everything in terms as well, the documentation around the different views and displays will be updated in the wiki as well. So I know at the moment the information in there isn't relevant to these changes, but once these go live, there will at the same time be documentation released on this. So if you're unsure on anything, then you're going to have that as a point of reference. And then obviously if there's feedback or anything you want to raise that's still not clear, then please do raise a support ticket or get in touch with us. Okay. So another new feature we've got within the platform is actually our new companies page, which I mentioned earlier. So if we head down the menu to partners and into this new area called company list, we've got a new view here. Now, the aim of this area is to give you access to information about everybody on the platform. So if you're unsure if somebody is on the platform, or what someone's set up on the platform and you want to check set up with them, then you're able to do that here. You'll see this comes up as blank at the moment. And the reason it comes up blank is because there's so many companies on the platform, it would just be information overload. So we do ask that you have a search for whoever you're targeting to bring them up. So for example, I'm going to have a look in here under company name. I'm going to put in Michaela because I'm looking for a particular company with that in the name. And you'll see I've got various different companies that are displayed to me based on that search criteria I've just provided. Now, what I'm able to see for these companies that have come back in the search is their various IDs, be that ABTA, TIDS or IATA, the country, so where they're based. Obviously, the scheme for ABTA is in the UK at the moment, but as the platform grows and expands, we'll have companies globally in here. So there's a reference to which country they're located in. There's also a head office bit, so it tells you whether they are a head office or a branch. So that's listed in here. My example here, it doesn't, so I'll just show you a different one actually, just a reference for that. Yeah, so you'll see here it shows whether a head office, it's blank, but then actually where it's a branch and it has a head office, you would see that here. So if you're ever unsure as to whether a particular branch is available to you in Travel Ledger of a wider company, you can actually see them in here, and yes, they're available, and yes, they are associated with a head office, I would expect. So, where you've got buyers like Hayes who have hundreds of branches, you're able to see that in the platform. You'll also see how they're acting in the platform. So are they a seller? Are they a buyer? Or perhaps they're both. You'll see in this, you've got seller. So you'll see yes, no, whether they're acting as a seller, and buyer, yes, no, whether they're acting as a buyer. You'll also see whether they have a seller commercial link in place or a buyer commercial link in place with you. So you'll see here, this one has got a seller commercial link, and the one underneath has got both a buyer and a seller commercial link because that's how they're behaving in the platform. Lastly, you'll also see subscription, so whether they're live and using Travel Ledger. So if they've got an active subscription, then yes, they are live and actively using Travel Ledger at the moment. Simon, have you got anything you wanted to add on to that new feature?
Yeah, I've had some recent requests from the agent side, wanting to know, who do they contact?
Yes, me too.
For any queries, either with engaging with you, or obviously we've got a query with an invoice. And I thought it was a great question. And what we'd like to do is add a contact column on this view, subject to obviously agreeing to do so, and we'd make available a section for you to add in what you want those contact details to be. So we've added that to our roadmap, and that will be an enhancement that we'll add to the screen in the not too distant future.
Thank you. Okay, so that's covered what I wanted to show you today in terms of the new functionality that we plan to get out to you next Thursday, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the presentation now and just pop back into the agenda and just say, we're going to move on now to look at the other improvements that we have coming soon. So things that we're not going to deliver next week, but that we have planned and in the roadmap that we hope to deliver soon. So we've already discussed credit terms, I hope that makes some more sense now, based on having been able to show it you in the platform as well. So where you would add that in and how that would work with those quick views. So, you know, how they would go into the future views, and hopefully not confuse buyers by them showing as due for review and then keep showing up every week, which I think is something that's happening now and perhaps you're getting some questions on. So that's hopefully explain that for you. And the next thing we have to get delivered to you is notifications. So at the moment, there are a couple of notifications that are perhaps lacking in the platform. First up is a frequent question we get in support at the moment is around credit and debit positions. So at the start of settlement, customers are coming through and they're asking, you know, so how much is coming out of my bank this settlement and how much is coming back into my bank this settlement? And because we're aggregating on that position on a partner by partner basis, we're planning in a notification that will provide you with your credit and debit position by partner. So say partner A, you are in you owe them £100, it will show that you owe them, that there's £100 coming out for them. But say partner B, they owe you £500, it will show that they are paying you £500 as part of that settlement. And it will also give you an overall position as well. So it'll total up your partners that you're in credit with, it will total up your partners that you're in debit with, and give you a amount that's coming out of your bank as part of the settlement, and amount to expect coming into your bank as part of that settlement. So I'm hoping that'll be a big help in that respect. That will come out after the submission, so the collection submission in the ABTA world, that's at 4 p.m. on a Wednesday. So after that on a Wednesday evening, then that will be generated and sent out. I spoke to Vanetta, who's developing that piece, and she's advised that the plan is for there to be attachments involved with that as well as part of the notification, with a breakdown of the transactions from each of the summary views as well. So we're hoping that's really useful to you in terms of matching everything on your end. We're also going to start to provide review window notices. So there's going to be advice on when a review window is due to start. So for ABTA, that'll be a Monday morning at 10. And then also warnings for the end of a review. So the warnings will come 48 hours before a review period ends and 24 hours before a review period ends. Those warnings will be tailored as well. So they're not just going to be sent en masse to everybody in the platform. They'll only go to people who are partners who have transactions to review within that review window. So, you know, you need to have transactions outstanding within that review for you to receive the notification. So we don't want it to be a bombardment where everybody gets notification, even if they've not got anything to review. It'll just go to those specifically who have outstanding things on their platform. The next thing that we have in the works is a summary bank reconciliation view. So again, that's going back to that credit and debits piece. So where do I stand with what's coming out of my bank and coming into my bank as part of each settlement? This is very much in development. It's something we're focused on. We're not 100% clear how that's going to look and where it's going to sit in the platform yet. But I just wanted to make everybody aware that alongside with that notification, which should be there sooner, and I hope will be a big help more sooner, we are also working on a separate view within the platform to provide you with that information. We also have our enhanced file format. So we will be communicating that with you. So the specification around the enhanced file format will be shared with everybody by email soon. But some of the things that we're including in the enhanced file format. So what else are you going to be able to submit as part of your files if you choose to use the enhanced file format. So firstly, just to point out that the enhanced file format is going to be optional. You are going to be able to continue using the file format that we have. You don't have to deviate and change from that. But if you do want to provide more information, then within the enhanced file format, there's going to be the option for deposit and balance indicators, displaying commission, displaying VAT, additional free text for reason codes. So there's going to be the opportunity for buyers to also provide information back through that. So to give more reason for when they reject or amend a booking, they're going to be able to do that and provide you with detail and perhaps communicate more through the platform and through the files there, as opposed to having to take those issues offline. And also credit terms. So
I just add something on the text reason, free text, sorry, Michaela, is possible use of it is a couple of the operators have multiple brands, because it's associated with one ABTA number. You're not able to distinguish your brand actually on platform, so you'll be able to use these additional notes fields to actually distinguish your brand if it's different to the ABTA name as such. So you can use this to put more information into the platform to your agents stroke buyers if there's things you need to draw to their attention.
And then the last bit I've got on here as well is the credit terms. So before I mentioned and I showed you where you could update that within the platform as an override. You can also submit that if you prefer through the enhanced file format. So you've got options with that. You can do it through the enhanced file format if you wish to use it. If you don't want to use the enhanced file format, but you still wish to implement credit terms with your partners, then you can do that through the override in the commercial link within Travel Ledger. As I mentioned before, if you do want to use that, then do just get in touch with us and we can talk through how to make it work best for you and the reporting, etc. Okay, and that was everything I wanted to cover in terms of what we have to update the platform next week, hopefully, and then also what we have coming soon in our near roadmap. Now I just wanted to really take the opportunity to take any questions on this or any requests around what you've seen, like what you think could even enhance it further.
We are always listening and always happy to take on board positive and constructive feedback, of course, to take the platform the direction it needs to go in. So your feedback is really, really welcomed. And I'm sure we'll hear from you, if not today, in due course, if there's anything else you think is of real value that we need to add to the platform. We've got an extensive roadmap. There's obviously quite a few things that we've just shown you today that's up and coming, but obviously we've got a longer roadmap and there's much more to come. And as those are nearing maturity, we will of course have further webinars. We'll probably have these on a monthly basis just to impart further information to you.
Simon, can...
Hey, Mike.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can, good. Can I just check if there's any news on, I think, the sort of the wallet, so we can extend it beyond ABTA?
Sure. So that is one of the things that's very much on our roadmap. It's taken a few twists and turns. There's some good stuff that's recently been legislated, which certainly helps with what we're going to implement. But I would say it's probably 4 months away, 3 to 4 months away, Mike, before we can start introducing it to you and showing you what it's going to do. So once that's in place, obviously the wallets, you'll have quick settlement between the wallets. What we're working on is how you fund the wallet. So there's multiple ways you'll be able to fund the wallet, which effectively is your bank account that you would set up. It's an electronic bank account you would set up. and a means of transacting on the platform. So I'm probably giving away information right now which might not be well formed, because I think we need to introduce this properly to everybody. But it will be a new payment method. It'll be much quicker than it is today, much more transparent. And as soon as we've got that in a good place to demonstrate to you, we will start releasing that information. But yeah, 3 to 4 months, Michael.
Thank you.
One of the key, just let me add one thing, one of the key functionality once we have implemented this new payment method is that you will be able to operate directly with other companies that are not necessarily part of ABTA or any of the other schemes. So that will enable direct settlement with just any travel company that is connected with Travel Ledger. And when we implement that, we will also implement at the same time support for the euro, which will then allow you to use Travel Ledger in other countries as well. So, if you're interested in any of this kind of upcoming functionality, please do get in touch with us, and we can discuss a little bit more in detail what your requirements are and kind of where we're going. The idea being that, if we get some feedback now as we're building these things, it's more likely that the end result will be to your satisfaction.
Thanks, Roberto. Can I ask if there's any other questions from anybody? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll send out a review questionnaire after this as well. If you have the time to fill that out, thank you very much. Any feedback you have, welcome, and an opportunity to ask further questions in that. Obviously, we've got the support channel, raise any questions there as needed. Once this should hope to be going out next Thursday with functionality, but we'll keep you posted. So we will be communicating quite a lot over the next week, just so everyone's really, really expecting to see these changes and doesn't come left field to the wider community. Fingers crossed it hits the mark. It looks like it does. And so there's nothing further. I will thank you all for your time and wish you a pleasant day and week.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.